Senate Judiciary Chairman says Judge Kavanaugh should be confirmed on Saturday. Also saying the whole confirmation process has been fair and thorough. Senator Grassley then turning his ire from the Democrats straight at the media.
I would never use the word fake news. I consider you folks policemen for our democratic system of government. But I want to show you where some of you have bias. I've had demonstrators in my office for 2 weeks now. The people that were for Kavanaugh wanted to be interviewed. And they said, we're only interested in interviewing people against Kavanaugh.
About as fired up as he gets. All right, Republican Senator from North Carolina, Thom Tillis, is here to weigh in. He also sits on the Senate Judiciary Committee. So, Senator, you've had a long few weeks this summer.
Well, it's been a long few months. If you think about the nomination was on July the 9th, and a lot of work was done in the preparation of the documents, then the hearings, 32 hours of testimony, then the follow-up hearing, and 4.5 hours in the secured facility today reviewing.
What can you tell us? Were your impressions about any part of this case changed by what you read today?
If anything, I feel like what we reviewed today in the classified setting is even further galvanized my belief that the allegations are simply not corroborated, and we need to move forward with the confirmation.
Okay, one of your Democrat counterparts, Senator Menendez, has this to say about how he views the report.
That report, if that's an investigation, is a bullshit investigation. The reality is that is not a full and thorough investigation.
So what do you say to those who say without Dr. Ford and Judge Kavanaugh being re-interviewed by the FBI, or it would be their first FBI interviews, but on the same points that you all have investigated and sworn testimony they've given, it's not legit without that?
Well, I think that Senator Menendez is just going right into the marketing arm of the Democratic Party. Look, we have 7 members of the Judiciary Committee who are experienced prosecutors. We put another professional prosecutor who's been prosecuting sex crimes for almost 25 years. We did that for a reason. We wanted structure. We wanted an approach that we could present information that you would take before a judge to get an arrest warrant or to get a search warrant, and none of the data rose to a level that would keep that would ever allow a prosecution to move forward. There were 2 hours of testimony roughly on both sides. We asked Dr. Ford to submit any information she wanted to in the record with the advice of her counsel. We gave Dr. Ford the opportunity to have an opening statement to go as long as she wanted to go, and at the end of her testimony, we asked her if she had anything more to add. How could anybody think, with 7 prosecutors, 21 members of the Judiciary Committee, another experienced prosecutor, that they're getting anything more out of it? Senator Menendez wants a delay. That's what he wants. And I think that Judge Kavanaugh has been given an opportunity to clear his good name. I thought he did a good job last week. Now it's time to vote.
What do you make of those who said he had to come with a strong defense? Obviously, he and his family, much like Professor Ford and her family and others involved in this, had been put through a meat grinder, essentially. I mean, he was fired up when he showed up. There were those who felt he shouldn't have been interrupting senators, that they claim he showed himself to be partisan. Does he have a fair chance, if he is confirmed, to go to the bench and be, have a fresh start as a justice, or do you think he's always going to be hounded by these accusations from the Democrats?
I don't think so. I think that Judge Kavanaugh has been twice confirmed unanimously well qualified by the American Bar Association. They specifically, in the recommendation, talk about his temperament. What we saw last week, we have to go back to the 32 hours of hearings where he was very respectful, very deferential, was asked some outlandish questions, interrupted a number of times before he was able to provide an answer. That was Judge Kavanaugh. That was the temperament he's going to show on the bench. Last week was Brett Kavanaugh, a man whose wife has had death threats. His 13-year-old daughter's been traumatized by this. They're dragging his good name through the mud. And we saw the man, the father, and the husband defending him and his family, and I think he did it in an appropriate manner. And I believe many of the American people believe the same.
How worried are you about the Senate healing this rift, the idea of getting back to civility, finding compromise? Where do we go from here?
Well, I told a reporter earlier today, I said the fact of the matter is the agenda that we had for the markup had Judge Kavanaugh. We obviously disagree, and most Democrats are going to vote against this nomination. On that same agenda, we have a number of bipartisan pieces of legislation that we're going to move through. There is a problem that we have to go back to, and Lindsey Graham, Senator Graham, has said this. We've got to go back and, I think, improve the reputation of the Judiciary Committee, which I think has suffered by confidentiality being breached, by the Spartacus moment, by Senator Booker publishing information that we made available within an hour or two. If I'm someone who needs the help of the Judiciary Committee, but know that I want to do it on a confidential basis, know that I expose that confidentiality, we got a lot of work to do. And I lay a lot of that blame on the Democratic members who didn't respect the process, did not respect the chair, who's got a wonderful reputation in relationships. Let's work on that first. Let's get the institution of the Judiciary Committee right, and then let's try and get some of this hyperbolic, backstabbing behavior that I see every day in the 3.5 years that I've been in the U.S. Senate out of it. The American people are tired of it, and I'm tired of it.
Yeah, I got an earful over the weekend from people who said they just can't take it anymore. And we all want to see those divisions healed. We know many of you are very close friends on either side of the aisle.
Senator, thank you for coming in. We wish you the best. Thank you.